It's majestic.
I finally made it to the realm of the gods.
What would recipes from 100 years ago actually taste like?
That's our model. Sabi ito mga sakila ini bentahun.
These animals can carry infectious diseases.
What if we could go wherever we wanted without leaving the house?
They should never have really stayed on board.
Let's update this hour's top stories. Younger people in Malaysia are testing positive for COVID-19 as the country continues to register a record number of new infections. The city that was once Australia's worst COVID-19 hotspot, Melbourne, to go into a snap lockdown, its fourth since the pandemic began. And China accuses the US of politicizing the pandemic after President Joe Biden orders a review of COVID-19 origins. Now, Taiwan has reported more than 400 new COVID-19 local cases. The island is facing its largest coronavirus outbreak and is now under heightened alert. Taiwan's vaccine campaign has been floundering. For a population of around 24 million, the island has so far only secured just over 700,000 vaccine shots. But deals have been signed for millions of doses from several drug makers like Moderna and AstraZeneca. Authorities say a locally developed vaccine will be available in July. Taiwan has administered some 310,000 jabs so far. It has accused China of blocking a proposal deal between the island and Pfizer-BioNTech to secure COVID-19 vaccines. China has denied similar allegations. A mainland official says they offered to provide vaccines to the island as a goodwill gesture.
上海市医药卫生发展基金会、江苏省海峡两岸文化交流促进会负责人已经分别表示，愿意向广大的台湾同胞捐赠一批新冠疫苗，帮助缓解他们的燃眉之急，协助他们加强防疫。我们对此表示支持，会积极予以协助，也希望台湾有关方面为这批疫苗尽快输台，扫除障碍。
China's Fosun Pharma controls distribution rights to the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine across China, Taiwan, Hong Kong and Macau. Taiwan has maintained that it will only directly purchase and negotiate with BioNTech. BioNTech has declined to comment on Taiwan's allegation against China, but the company says it supports a global vaccine supply. The head of a Japanese doctors' union has warned that holding the Tokyo Olympics could lead to a new COVID-19 strain. Japan has repeatedly pledged to hold a safe and secure games as it prepares for an extended state of emergency across much of the country. The games are scheduled to go ahead, albeit under strict measures. Foreign spectators are banned, and a decision on domestic viewers is expected next month. But concerns remain about the safety of the games with surging coronavirus infections. Most residents in Japan are opposed to holding the games this summer amid a sluggish vaccine rollout and a fourth wave of infections. Just over 5% of its population have received vaccinations.
Well, I don't think the games should go ahead, and I'm looking at it not from a political point of view, but from a public health perspective. I have two large concerns. One is for the health and safety of the athletes and the officials, and the other, of course, is for the Japanese people. Now, starting with the athletes, there is no requirement for athletes and their entourages, or even the media, to be vaccinated before they go to Japan. The IOC president has said that he expects 80% of athletes to be vaccinated. I don't know where that figure comes from, but even if he's correct, that leaves thousands of athletes and coaches who won't be vaccinated and therefore be vulnerable to being infected while they're in Tokyo, in particular in the village where they may come in contact with people who are infected, and also in locker rooms, gyms, and other open areas. So I think that is my main concern.
Besides the pandemic, climate change is adding another risk to the Tokyo Olympics. A UK report warns that intense heat and humidity could threaten the health and performance of athletes participating in the Games. The British Association for Sustainable Sport, or BASIS, says athletes are increasingly being asked to compete in environments too hostile for the human body, and that impact would likely be felt in Japan this summer. Forecasts suggest temperatures in the Japanese capital will average around 26 to 27 degrees Celsius, but could rise up to 39.1. That is more than 10 degrees higher than the average during the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. Some events, including the marathon and road cycling, have already been shifted to cooler places. The study recommends more measures be put in to mitigate risk of heat illnesses, such as improved education, additional cooling breaks, and heightened medical provisions. Singapore's water agency, PUB, will deploy autonomous drones to patrol 6 reservoirs. They will observe water quality and monitor water activities, such as fishing and paddling. It's expected to free up to 5,000 man-hours a year. Taking off from a pod, this drone at Marina is one of the first 2 that will start work from the end of this month. The other will be at McRitchie. Each weighs up to 17 kilos and can fly up to 60 meters high. From the control hub, one pilot can monitor and control up to 4 drones. The drones can analyze videos in near real time. They trigger alerts when they detect activities such as illegal fishing. They can also sense kayaks in and outside of permitted zones. And they study water quality and identify aquatic plant overgrowth. PUB says no personal data like facial recognition will be collected. 4 more drones will be rolled out at Serangoon, Kranji, Lower Seletar and Lower Pierce later this year. PUB is tapping on ST Engineering's proprietary drone operating system. An Australian court says the country's environment minister has an obligation to children to consider the harm caused by climate change. She has to do so when deciding whether to approve the expansion of a new coal mine. The ruling was in response to a bid by 8 teenagers to force the federal government to ban the mine's expansion in New South Wales. The judge rejected the application but noted the amount of carbon dioxide that would be released into the atmosphere if the mines were allowed to expand.
100 million tonnes of CO2 attributable to the burning of coal from the extension project is likely to cause a tiny but measurable increase to global average surface temperatures.
A legal experts say comments by the judge opened the door for future lawsuits against other companies. The young activists also believe the judgment is a sign of real change.
Today's judgment is both thrilling and deeply relieving. The judge has recognised that the minister has a duty to take reasonable care not to cause us injury resulting from climate change. The court did not order an injunction stopping the mine, but it's not over yet. There will be further submissions on what the duty of care means for the minister's decision and the mine.
China has defended holding the spy trial of an Australian writer and academic behind closed doors as it involved state secrets. Australia's ambassador to China has been barred from Yang Henjun's trial on charges of spying. It's a case that has worsened a bitter row between the 2 nations. Australia has voiced concerns about China's handling of the case. Beijing says it rejects what it sees as Canberra's efforts to intervene. If convicted, Yang faces a jail term of 10 years or more. The UN Human Rights Council has called for Israel to stop the evictions of residents in Palestinian territories. It says the recent conflict poses serious concerns over human rights violations. Member states are meeting virtually this hour to discuss a draft resolution. It was proposed by a group of Muslims